Okay, let's see. So I'm gonna put this over here. Okay, we have quite a bit to go through today. So I think I should just get started. Very good. So hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cloud Object Storage Plugfest Planning Call number 2, sponsored by SNIA. This is, oh, let's see, I've got to go to the, oh, are you advancing slides, Arnold, or?
Yeah, I'll advance. You ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, hang on here. There you go.
Okay, great, thank you. This is Michael Horde. I work at Intel and Data Storage Planning, and I serve as chair for the SNIA Cloud Storage Technology Initiative. Presenting today is David Slick from Huawei, who serves as chair for the SNIA Cloud Storage Technical Working Group. Hello, David. How are you?
Hello, I'm doing well, thank you.
Okay, great. Awesome. And also presenting is Arnold Jones, who serves as SNIA Technical Director and helps organize all aspects of the Plugfest. Hey, Arnold, how are you today?
Doing great, and thanks everybody for attending. We're going to have an exciting presentation today, and hopefully a very exciting and great Plugfest at STC.
Awesome. So one note before we start, today's call will be recorded so we can send out minutes and a link to the recording to those folks who have expressed interest to participate in the Plugfest. Next slide, please. So very briefly, I'd like to restate some of the high-level key messages for today's call. So first of all, the Plugfest activity is intended to build the community which will drive object storage interoperability. So this is literally what we're doing today. So we ask everyone on today's call to please enter your name, company, and email address into the chat. On our last planning call, we had several people attend that we were not able to obtain their contact information. So what we intend to do is we're going to begin to populate email addresses into the Plugfest reflector so we can keep everyone informed in a timely manner. So that's going to help us with our communications. And the Plugfest will be co-located at SDC. So please check out all the fantastic topics and presentations to be held at the conference. It's really a great conference. And the Plugfest is open to all. SNIA membership is not required. And SNIA will provide network infrastructure to facilitate the testing. And all testing will be under NDA. And then the final note is the need to register early is very key to the success since that's how we're going to build the test matrix and all the supporting schedules. And Arnold's going to go through all the details on that process. Next slide. Okay, so the agenda is shown here. Arnold's going to go through the schedule and deadlines, and then David will go through kind of the high-level challenge and goal, and that's kind of restating some of the earlier data. But then David will go into kind of a round table, so we'll open up the discussion for everyone on this call. And that's to really compare notes on the motivation and goals for the Plugfest. We have a few folks that we contacted ahead of time. Gregory from Google will share a little bit of data. We did talk to one individual from IBM. And then we've gotten some input from through email with a few people. But this round table today will be just to collect people's thoughts on the need for this and what we're trying to get out of the process. And then David and Arnold will go through the rest of the agenda. So without further ado, go ahead, Arnold, please.
Sure. So the schedule and deadlines, the deadlines are the ones in red. One deadline we have put in here because it's going to help us create this test matrix is company sign up. Excuse me. There is no cost at the time. You don't have to pay any fee when you sign up your company to participate in the Plugfest. It allows us to get an idea of how many people are going to be participating, number of engineers, what kind of equipment, products you're going to be bringing to test and stuff. I'll talk a little bit more about that later. But July 31st, we'd like to have everybody, at least complete the company sign up. In August, we'll have our third planning meeting, and we may have maybe one or two after that, depends upon how things go. And it's important to attend that meeting if you're going to be participating. There is a hotel deadline for the conference and Plugfest that the special pricing on that ends August 23rd. So if you do plan to attend, make sure you make your hotel reservations early. The deadline for the Plugfest participants to register for STC is August 30th, and the payment deadline, basically when they register for the conference and Plugfest, it's an $8.95 fee. This is a discounted rate off the normal conference rate, which includes the Plugfest. The deadline to get the NDA signed and turned in is September 14th, and then Sunday, September 15th, we have a Plugfest setup day. If you're not bringing any equipment in to set up, then you really don't have to worry about that. And then the Plugfest, you just bring your laptop day one to start testing. And it's the 16th, 17th, and 18th, and then the 18th we'll actually start teardown. I'll cover this one more time in another slide coming up. And I'll turn this over to Dave. David?
Okay, so I wanted to give a quick overview of the reasons why we're hosting this Plugfest and what we've heard from some of the organizations that are interested in participating. So first of all, there is a lot of adoption of various object storage protocols and interfaces. There are multiple widely used protocols out there, but many of them are de facto rather than de jure standards. And this has resulted in a number of challenges, both for implementers and for customers using these technologies. First of all, we have situations where there are subtle incompatibilities between client implementations and server implementations that result in uncertainty and difficulties that arise during implementation and operation of systems in customer deployments. There's been a base level of compatibility that's been established, kind of the simple operations of authenticating, performing basic I/O operations. But often there are compatibility issues around edge cases, namespace issues, error handling conditions, and sometimes even bug compatibility, where there will be specific code written to handle a bug in one implementation that then causes issues in other implementations that don't have that same bug. And there have been no open forums to assist with a multi-vendor interoperability testing. So that's one of the primary goals we're trying to address here, provide a forum by which different parties, implementers of servers, clients, and test suites and tools, to be able to come together to address these issues. Many implementers have been testing against cloud service offerings, but there are also non-cloud based offerings, deployments that are in data centers or virtualized environments. So that's another area where there's some missing coverage. And often the behaviors for implementers have to be inferred from the behaviors of these cloud service offerings. Unfortunately, because we do not have formal official specifications, there is varying degrees of completeness of documentation. Sometimes situations where the documentation is out of date, and often the implementations have implemented a subset of desired functionality. This is especially the case when comparing product-based offerings to service-based offerings, where there's often a much higher rate of change and additions of functionality over time between the two. So the primary goals for the Plugfest and for building a community for these testing activities is to ensure that various implementations of software, clients, test suites, servers that use the same protocol, for example, the S3 AWS protocol, Azure blob storage protocols, etc., from different providers are able to interoperate. And the goal is to be able to collectively address these challenges, to identify situations where there are interoperability issues, provide guidance to the industry to improve the level of interoperability, and ultimately, at the end of the day, reduce the compatibility issues that customers experience, increasing their satisfaction and with all of our solutions and with the industry in general. Okay, so that is the challenge and the goals of this, and we're hoping that by working together, we'll be able to address this. So, next slide. So, to kick off the discussion, I encourage you to, if you have not already, add your name, company, and email to the chat so that we can make sure that we can add you to the reflector. And we've already gathered some testing perspectives from multiple organizations, and we're looking forward to hearing their perspectives and then having an open discussion about what you feel you can benefit from these activities. And we can use this to further refine and prepare for the on-site Plugfest. So with that, I'd like to hand it over to Google to talk about their high-level goals.
Sure. So my name is Grigory. I'm from Google. So I represent Google Cloud Storage Service. So our high-level goals for this Plugfest would be do functional testing against clients that use either S3 XML API or our native JSON-based API. So there, our focus is primarily on the, we'll start with sunny day functional testing, just make sure that things work in general, compatibility against S3 clients, third-party clients. That's where it'll be very interesting for us, because that's kind of one of the challenges that we see in our interactions with users. So there is a variety of client libraries out there, and not all of them use proper retry logic and so on. So we'd like to test that, and to help with that, we are considering adding some transient errors as an option. So for participants who want to test how their applications would behave if our service doesn't work perfectly. So of course we are trying to have no errors at all, but in reality in distributed systems there is always some error rate. So it's very important from our perspective to confirm that applications can sustain some low error rate. So that's the primary focus, and then secondary focus would be to do perf benchmarking against our implementations of S3 API and JSON API. So if there are participants who want to try to push the limits of performance, and we can work with them during Plugfest to maybe do some real-time debugging, try to identify bottlenecks if there are any, make some recommendations about what can be changed on the client side, or potentially make some draw some conclusions for ourselves, like what we can improve on the server side. So that would be another goal. And then finally, which is purely optional, if there is interest among the participants, we can deliver a tech talk on best practices for integration with Google Cloud Storage Service. Next slide, please. Okay, so the test, in terms of test setups, so we envision three possible setups. So one possible setup is that, so of course, GCS is cloud service. So the service, so we're not going to bring any hardware to the venue. So all testing will be performed against our cloud service. So what the client is, so the client can be either in Google Cloud. So that's the main scenario is best suited for high-perf testing. there are a few moving parts, so it will be a bit easier for us to debug if there is anything that's going wrong. Second option can be for clients that use GCS to store data, but the source of data is somewhere else, either it's on-prem or in a third-party data center. We can test that as well. So it's this option will probably be best suited for to test kind of real life setups. So and the closer we are to the real production environment, the higher the chance that the issues that we find will be representative of what would happen in real life. And third option is we can, of course, test from the hotel room to our service in cloud. So that one, I think there is a higher chance of hitting some unknown issues. Kind of, I don't know how strong the how much bandwidth that network connection will have from the hotel, whether any firewalls or anything in between that can affect that. So, but you can of course give it a try. So I think it will be useful for us in general to, as we build the test matrix, to know what the preferences are for the different participants. So, and we need to do some preparations perhaps before the event to make sure that kind of how service is configured, maybe test connection, just make sure that we're not going to hit any roadblocks during the event itself. Next slide, please. Yeah, so what would be nice, like our, I guess, requests to the organizers and to other participants are, so first of all, I think we're very interested in learning the test matrix. And of course, we'd like to have some input and kind of what would be the most interesting kind of interactions for us to test. So I guess once we have the list of participants, I think we can provide kind of like stack rank, like which would be the most interesting for us from our perspective to test. And then our suggestion to the organizers would be like collect that kind of mutual interest from kind of all participants, and then try to prioritize testing of those combinations where there is that mutual interest. But of course, we'll be there for, like, if you attend the event, we'll be there for all those 2-3 days. So we will try to test as many combinations as possible. So yeah, it's been also interesting to know a summary of test scenarios. So from our side, we provide the service, but we don't fully kind of know what aspect of the service these different participants would want to use. So having some input on that would be useful. So that would help us to understand what we can prepare on our side in terms of debuggability, or maybe just having some preparations to enable that testing. So we're very much looking forward to that input. And we hope that organizers can arrange collection and distribution of that input. So then test setup and once, already mentioned that. So kind of if we could be, we would likely need to know like test project numbers, bucket names, locations, and so on, so that we could provision our system, properly maybe adjust some quotas limits, or enable error injection, do some other things. So we'd rather do that test, try to do the test setup ahead of time, not even during kind of first day or the day before the first day, but rather like maybe a week ahead or something like that. And in general, we're looking forward to input from others. Like if you have any suggestions how we can facilitate testing for you in any way, we'd like to hear about that as far advanced as possible. And if there are any requests to us in general, please let us know, either in this call or offline. I added my email address to the chat, so feel free to reach out to me via that chat, via that email address. I think that's it.
Okay, thank you. So we have some additional details submitted to us from IBM. The IBM representative is unfortunately unable to make the call today, so they asked for us to present these items to the group. So the primary goal that IBM has expressed that they would like to see from the cloud object storage Plugfest is a desire to see more proactive and rigorous interoperability testing between various stakeholders to ensure that any compatibility issues, customer experience issues are caught early on rather than at customer sites during customer deployment. In addition, there's value in creating a community network and discussions around best practices to gain understanding around common issues and conditions to avoid, and to expand interoperability testing to include a broader set of servers and clients from different vendors. This will help all of us gain more real-world representative experience in terms of what the challenges out there are. Next slide. Okay, so we also have some feedback from Microsoft, and I believe
And Scott
is
is actually
the call.
on the call, so he can talk to it.
Hey folks, Scott Moog, Microsoft. I'm a PM in Azure Object Storage, so I look after our SDKs, client tools, and parts of our data plane REST APIs. So this will be our first time participating in Plugfest. We don't have the loftiest of goals. I think we're there primarily to sit back, listen, take it in. Much like the folks from Google and IBM, we can help out with best practices. I'm happy to kind of take customers through the same journey and help them align kind of the right configuration, limits for their accounts, things like that, if they did want to test any perf and scale scenarios or anything like that along the way. Really, we just kind of like to get to sit back and meet everybody and figure out the best way to integrate into the community.
So Dave, this is your opportunity and for others to speak up.
Ben, you provided some email. If you want to say a few words.
Hey guys, yeah, this is Ben Hauser from NetApp. The only sort of idea, I guess, that I had to bring to the table, and this is from my boss, Vishnu Vardhan, we thought it might be a good idea to discuss sort of a generic S3 compatibility level. So say you have like, if you're a backup vendor or whatever, you can say, okay, my software requires S3 compatibility level 1, which is this set of API calls or whatever. So just sort of, I think our main goal from the NetApp perspective is to figure out how we can sort of make as smooth as possible ISV validations and validations between storage vendors and software companies, just to make it as smooth as possible and minimize work, right, across all these organizations to make sure we're doing it in the most efficient way.
That's actually a really good point. We struggled with that a little bit a few years back around various implementations of CDMI that had different features being supported, and we ended up standardizing a concept of profiles. A similar concept could be applied here, where we define a series of profiles, and then that acts as a way to communicate to customers that a given profile of functionality is supported by a server, such that a given client that requires that profile has a degree of assurance that that level of interoperability testing and support is present.
Yeah, and I think removing the need to do case-by-case testing, so you can just say, okay, my storage is S3 level 2 or whatever we call it. Then I know that this ISV, which is level 2, is also going to work with it, hopefully without issues, obviously. Maybe we can't always avoid all issues, but, hopefully that can make things easier. And I'm not sure if this is the right group that would do that kind of thing, or how we could all agree on these levels, or, just brainstorming.
Yeah, I think absolutely that's something that can be in scope if the group decides that that is of value. One of the areas that we have discussed is we could potentially put together some documentation about interoperability and testing best practices. So that would dovetail very nicely into that.
So I have a question to the organizer. So like it looks like in the call just right now, the companies go left at the server side, service providers. So do we have actually like a good, are we going to have good participation from companies that actually use the service? Because I think that's really important. This would be very kind of inefficient, I guess, like if we all show up, but there is nobody who is actually wants to test anything.
Completely agreed. We have reached out to multiple vendors, some of which have expressed interest on the client side, and we are continuing to do that outreach. Of course, it's a little bit of chicken and the egg. We want to make sure that the client vendor side companies want to make sure that there's going to be servers to test with. So I think we've got the critical mass there now. So that is definitely an area of focus, and I would ask everyone on the call if you have contacts with companies that are developing clients that you think would be good to have attend and participate. Please reach out to them as well, and we can grow that critical mass.
Okay.
Okay, we're ready to go on to talk about testing procedures, unless there's more discussion on the input from others. Okay, so I'll fill you in on how we do the test matrix. Basically, when as part of the company sign-up process, the companies identify what products or test tools they're going to be bringing to the Plugfest for testing, and then we'll use that information to construct a test matrix. And then once we get the test matrix constructed, the participants of the Plugfest will work together, we'll review it together on additional calls before the event to come up with a testing process and schedule, assuring that, we meet all the objectives of the Plugfest. And right now we've got one next plan calls planned for August, but once we get the test matrix set up, we'll probably have several other ones prior to the event to make sure we get all the details worked out. But basically, it's based upon what companies support what protocols they will set up in the test matrix to be able to test against each other. As far as test tools, we are encouraging participants to bring test tools that they can share with other participants, or at least bring them if you can't share them, at least allow other participants at the Plugfest to run against them. In the past, we've had, with our SMB3 Plugfest, we've had people bring in some of their own internal test suites to actually run against other competitors' products and stuff. And there are also some open source test tools that we plan to have at the event that people can use for testing. But again, this one point I want to make, why registration is key to get it done early, is so that we can develop this test matrix and to also identify, are we going to have enough clients there? And that's why as soon as you can, register your company or sign up to fill out the company sign up to get provide us with the information of that you are planning to participate, and here's the products and protocols you support and plan to test with and stuff. Any questions on this? Okay, and Dave, you want to talk a little bit about this?
Okay, so we intend to build out a test matrix. Our plan is to have a web shared spreadsheet where we can list the various clients and test suites and the various server implementations, and then we can identify specific tests and schedule activities. There will be a second document where we start to list interaction and interoperability challenges such as edge cases, namespace handling, error conditions, etc. And then what we can do is we can schedule time once we're all on site where people representing clients and can rank when they want to test with servers, such that we can ensure that every test desired has time, and identify areas where we may want to spend additional time focusing on. So that's the high level plan for building out the test matrix. Our goal is by the time everyone's in the room, we have a general idea of what we're going to be spending our time on, so we can use the time efficiently. So in addition to the activities for testing, we also want to set aside some time for information sharing sessions where participants can communicate with other participants about best practices, common interoperability issues they have found, and an opportunity to provide technical talks on related topics. One of the topics we would like to discuss is the possibility of putting together some documentation that we can share more broadly with the industry to help improve interoperability. And I believe at least one other vendor has also indicated that they would like to give a technical talk. So if this is something you're interested, please let us know as well, and we can help schedule that in. In addition, there are a large number of very interesting talks coming up at SDC, so we'll want to make sure that our schedule is flexible enough that engineers who are attending the Plugfest can also duck out of the room to attend talks here and there as well.
Okay, Plugfest logistics. Some of this we've covered in an earlier slide, but I just want to go into a little bit more detail. So this Plugfest is co-located with the SNIA Developer Conference, and I would recommend going and checking out the SNIA Developer Conference website, which is sniadeveloper.org, and you can take a look at the type of technical presentations we've done over the last several years. They're all up there. You can watch them and check them out and learn about them. But it by itself is a great resource of information for storage developers. This year, we're going to have 3 full days of technical presentations, and we'll have it's a wide range of technology topics covering different things. And as part of the conference, it does include the conference meals, breakfast and lunch. Location is the Hyatt Santa Clara in Santa Clara, California. And this is where you find out about the SNIAdeveloper.org, where you can find out about the hotel information. And again, remember the hotel deadline. If you do plan to attend, make sure you get your reservations made ahead of time. And do check out the videos from the SDC 2023 sessions that we had last September from our last time we read this. Now, the Plugfest and conference run September 16th through the 18th. We do have a setup day on Sunday the 15th, but that's only for people that may be in some equipment they need to set up, whether it's a rack or a tray or something like that. But if you're just you and your laptop on VMs, then no need to show up on Sunday. You just show up on Monday when the testing begins. And the conference actually also starts on Monday too. And then teardown starts Wednesday at 5 p.m. And if you're just coming with the laptop, then there's no big issue. But sometimes we've had people, like for our SMB3 Plugfest, bring in some racks or trays of equipment that we'd have to package up and stuff. But it's 3 full days of testing and a great opportunity to network with everybody that's there. The network and infrastructure, we provide that for the testing. It's a private 1 gigabit Class B network. It's a wired network, but we also have wireless and internet access on the network. And to help with the testing, we give each company, they don't have to use them, but we give each participating company is assigned a set of static IP addresses for testing. Basically, each company gets their own Class C network for testing purposes. And this is how we basically set up so everybody can locate each other on the network. Any questions on logistics? Okay. All right, so we've talked about the NDA fee and registration a little bit previously, but basically all Plugfest participants are under an NDA, and that main thing is to protect bugs and issues that we find so that it does not become public knowledge outside or nobody uses it for competitive advantages, advertising, hey, this product has a bug in it or anything like that. It when you sign up, the company signs up, there's an NDA that they agree to. So you don't have to physically sign a piece of paper. If they go through the online sign up, there's a place there where they agree to the NDA. So it's either you can sign the paper and send it back, scan it in, email it back, or you can just do the normal online sign up for the companies, and that'll take care of the agreement to the NDA. And then once the NDA is agreed to, it covers all engineers from that company that are participating in the Plugfest. The fee to participate for the engineers is $8.95 per engineer, which includes full access to the SNIA Developer Conference session and meals. So basically, we will send out a code to each of the engineers. To the person that fills out the company sign up form, and they can distribute that discount code to the engineers from their company that will be participating in the Plugfest. And we do request that all those engineers that do attend the upcoming Plugfest planning calls. Any questions on how this works or the process here? Okay. And just in case you have any confusion about the previous slide, here is a flow chart for all our engineers out there on the call to follow on how the sign up process works. So basically, it's a company signs up for the Plugfest to agree to the NDA, and then the person that signed up the company that has the authority to agree to the NDA receives a discount code for registration, and they send that to all the participating engineers from the company who go and register for SDC, and they also make sure you book your hotel room again. And our next planning call is going to be August 14th at 10 a.m. Pacific time. And Dave, I will turn it over to you now.
Okay, so if anyone has any questions, now is an open opportunity for us to have a discussion. And we will have opportunities on email to discuss, and then at the next call on August 14th.
Not a question, but just a reinforcement of something that David had said earlier. If you do have clients out there that you think would be benefit from participating in the Plugfest, please reach out to them and let them know about the Plugfest so that they can think about signing up and participating in it.
Absolutely. And if there's anybody you would like for us to reach out to or to jointly reach out to do a presentation, we are open to that as well. Please feel free to send an email to askcloudplugfest@snia.org, and we'll see what we can do to set something up.
Yeah, even if you don't have contact information from these other companies, just say, I'd like to see Acme Storage there or whatever. Send us the list of the companies, even if you don't have contact, and we'll try to track them down and see if we can get them to participate.
Okay, well, hearing no further questions, I want to thank everyone for attending, and we look forward to working further with you on the Plugfest and seeing everyone in person at the Plugfest in September.
And we'll make a link to this video available online at the main Cloud Plugfest landing page on the SNIA website. And that's also where you can get the the calendar entry for the August 10th call. August 14th, I mean. Thanks, everybody, for calling in.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thanks for hosting.
Thank you.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So, hey, Arnold.
Yeah.
David, hi. So we didn't really get that many emails. It looks like there was just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? Tariq from FutureWay, Ben from NetApp, Gregory from Google, which we already had, Scott Howe